I really think this is going to be a fun podcast today because Rob Sanders of Fox Sports Radio, 1400 AM WCOS, and Greg Hood, which this podcast is named after, Mazda of Columbia, What's Good Under the Hood. I think that y'all are in a great mood. I'm in a really crappy mood today, but y'all's positivity is bleeding off onto me. So by the time that we're done,
we'll be negative and you'll be positive.
We'll just change.
I'm positive you'll be negative.
So we're going to make you positive by what's the term? Osmosis?
Osmosis. Yeah. It's what's good under the hood. What is good under the hood?
Well,
Greg and Rob?
The government's sending out all those tests to everybody so you can find out whether you're negative or positive.
But they're not going to mail them out until the end of the month. And so anybody who thinks they may be sick today, in 2 weeks, they're going to be well, right as their tests
here's
arrive.
My question. So I know I bought tests at the drugstore, and they were $10 a piece. So if I paid $10, the government paid 30, and then they're sending them out. They got to have mail handlers handle them, and then they've got to have all the other things. So they're probably $10,000 each. What a waste of freaking money. And I will tell you that Michael is 36 years old, has a mid-level manager. He makes $55,000 a year, and is looking to better his financial situation.
Who is this person you speak of?
Well, it's the one on the wall here.
The one on the wall behind
Michael lived in the same house on Meadowood for several years with his wife Jennifer and his daughter Abby. But here's the best part. Hold on, wait for it, please. Michael drives a mid-size sedan, but he's got his eye on a Land Rover. Sir, you make $55,000 a year. You are not getting a Land Rover.
Look how stern Michael looks. Michael doesn't look like he's ever had a day of fun in his life.
He's in absolute misery. That's the face of the listener.
And if
make sure you get the Andy. Get the face of the listener in there.
Oh, the face of the listener.
Because that's the important part.
And if you're only hearing this and you can't see, watch
hilarious.
this on YouTube.
Oh my gosh!
Make sure you
should watch this
subscribe
on YouTube
and share and follow the show.
Anyway,
they're mocking the guy that I'm supposed to be talking to every day on Fox Sports Radio.
Yeah,
so thanks for that, guys.
Do you look forward at that and really think about old Michael over there?
Yeah, I think, how can I make Michael not go home and kick his dog?
And get a
kind of what I go after.
Does look like one of those people that was kicking his
How
dog.
can he afford his? Well, he looks like he just kicked the dog. Oh, actually, I guess he's on his laptop or something. Anyway, he wants a Land Rover. I bet even the world is going on in that state. I think we should change the podcast to WTF. I am blown away. They've got a.
What does that mean?
Wait, which state are we talking about, sir?
California.
Okay, cool.
I mean, that's all you have to say.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know.
WTF, it's got to be California.
Good point, but I mean, Florida also has some issues too.
They don't have these kind of issues.
I don't know,
Florida's
man. They're
wide open. They're great.
They're like, I mean, I could give you a Florida story every day.
Oh no, they've got some wing nuts there.
Okay,
I lived in Florida, but I'm not thinking about the government.
You lived in two states that I would never live in. I respect you for that, because I would never live in California.
I was born in California, but no, they're trying to pass something through the assembly, and it's Bill AB 1400, I think, and it is that they want to. They've been talking about this for a long time, but they're really seriously trying to take over the healthcare system. It said 90% of the people in California have healthcare. There's 10% that don't. So the government wants to take it over. The cool part is now my mom can move out here because she won't be on Kaiser anymore, because they're going to take it away and make it all public. But I am blown away. But and I don't have the actual statistics, but I'll give it a roundabout of what I heard is that if you're broke and you don't make anything, you're supposed to pay a 2% tax. Well,
on what?
Well, thank you. If you're homeless, you got to pay 2%. Well, that makes sense, but of your income.
They're going to check your cup for change when you get back to the
2% of your
shelter.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So if you make over $600,000 a year, I believe the number went up somewhere around between 15 and 18%, and then over 2.5 million or something, that it's even higher. But if you put that, if you're making $600,000 a year, you're already paying 14.8%, I think, in income tax, state income tax, plus your federal income tax. And now they want to bump it another 15 to 18% on top of that. And the $2 a gallon in gas tax they're paying, and the 9.5% sales tax, or wherever the heck what they're paying in certain areas. I'm like, what in the world are they thinking? And they don't do anything well. So they're just taking over their whole lives. I don't even understand what's going on there.
Some people may be confused when they're tuning in. They may think, God, I found the Fox News channel instead.
Well, not necessarily. He's talking about his mama. There's nothing wrong with that.
But it turned into politics in California. People.
Well, because there's only Democrats in the assembly in California. It's a super majority. So it's going to be, if you're against it, then you're against that political party.
Well, I tell you what, since you and I are friends, I'm going to come up to Mazda of Columbia, and I'm going to, I may buy a car and run out and go pick up Mama Hood and bring her here to civilization.
Mama Hood.
That may
love
be
that.
that may be what we have to do, sir.
That would be good. Well, but I don't live in civilization. I'm in North South Carolina.
But North probably has a little bit more intelligence in the states you were speaking of.
Slightly.
So yeah. So I'll come to Mazda
if you put us all together, yes.
and
we have that.
buy the car. I'm probably gonna buy that Toyota pickup truck you've got sitting up there. I'll buy that because I got to tote her stuff back.
No, we could make arrangements for that. Don't worry. But
Well,
I'd love to
either
have,
way, we'll
I'd
go
love
get her.
to have my mom living out here. It would be awesome.
Yeah. So anyway,
But she won't leave until she has, because of her healthcare situation, she likes what she has. And that's the other point. She likes what she has. And I remember when Obama was doing Obamacare, he says, if you like your doctor, you're going to get to keep them. Well, no, that wasn't what ended up being. But if that was a selling point at that point, it's probably still the same one. Probably hasn't changed much. If you like your doctor, you probably want to keep them.
yeah. Well, can we pivot for just a second?
Sure.
Because I have a friend named Richard who is a buddy of mine, and he was talking about our episode. We were talking about California has all of they need like 1.2 million chargers like right now. And we started talking a little bit about the electric cars, and he is someone who is leans a little bit to the left, and he said, you know what, even the people that are left leaning look at this like, why you're still using coal to power your car, natural gas, whatever. He said, so I don't understand the whole move to an electric car. If you're doing it on the advice that it's better for the environment, that's actually kind of not true.
Well, they haven't dealt with the lithium battery problem. I mean, you start seeing articles popping up now all the time about the disposal. They're worried about what do they do with spent nuclear fuel rods, but they got a bigger problem going on with the volume of batteries that they're going to produce with the stuff that I don't even know what all the stuff is that goes in one of those batteries when they have to dispose of them. It's going to be ugly. So, the deal though is that it's government du jour. So we're going to shift away from it another 20 years and we'll be on to something else. And
I just thought that was interesting because the way he laid it out, and he's a guy that, he's one of those folks that cares about the environment, and, God bless those people. Not that I don't care, but
right.
I mean, but he's one of those folks that recycles and does things like that. And he just literally is like, wait, I'm gonna have to plug in this car and it's going to have to be fueled by essentially fossil fuels and everything else. And you're making a bigger carbon footprint anyway.
Well,
so why bother?
You start looking at wind power, and you look like you wanted to say
I
something.
wanted to say something.
It looked like it was important, so I'm going to let you do
Why don't they make this is a genius idea? Maybe no one has
Hold
ever
on,
thought of this
hold on.
before.
Here it comes, folks. A genius idea. Andy Woods, go for it.
Make an entire car out of solar panels. Therefore, you've got a solar powered car.
Somebody's made that one of those.
I mean, an entire car. Make the body, the roof, the side, everything out of solar panels.
I'm telling you, when this first, if you look at some of the colleges like MIT, they had contests years ago where they would make, zero emission fuel and zero fuel vehicles. They were running complete solar panels on the whole car.
Yeah.
And they drive as far as they could. Like some of these colleges were competing. Like they get 1,000 miles or something out of the car. It was pretty cool, but they didn't look very good. So
I was listening to Andy's idea, and I was going to hit him with this. There you go. What a great idea, Andy.
There are cars out there currently that have solar panels that are on the roof that run equipment in the car to keep it cool.
Yeah.
While you're in shopping at Target, with all your.
Anyway, I thought I would bring that up because.
Sorry, did I flatten you?
No, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Because somebody's going to eventually do it, and it's going to work, and they're going to reference this podcast.
You know what happens? So when solar panels get dirty, right?
Got to clean them.
They become ineffective.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're driving in the snow or the whatever, now you got another problem.
Or
so
if you park behind our building, behind our transmission tower, the bird poop will cover it. Then it'll become non-effective as well.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
There's always the rule of unintended consequences.
Good thought.
What an absolute mess.
We mentioned it. Anyway, hey, by the way, speaking of your friends, what about the one you worked out with that we referred to in the last podcast? Did he hear it?
I haven't talked to him, but I did talk with Richard, who listens, and he gave me that, and he goes, "Not feeling it, man." His exact words were, "Just not feeling it." And he goes, "Maybe down the line they'll come up with something different, and we'll be innovative on that front. But as of right now, if you're just trying to sell me an electric vehicle based on the idea that it's going to be better for the environment, it's not really.
It's not. No.
Not really. I'm not really feeling that. There's that sound we had.
I know.
I hit the thing. My
What the
bad.
hell's going on?
No, you're banging around. It's pretty good. We like it.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So you had a couple things you wanted to lay on me today.
Right. Yeah. Well, actually, can we talk about the service department first?
Sure.
Let's get into that because I know that the last time, what was it, 2 podcasts ago, we were talking about how you are developing, or I say developing, but you're building a top of the line service department for the all new Mazda of Columbia. And it's got all the bells and whistles and everything that you guys are putting together, right?
It is. It's going to be definitely state of the art. I mean, I bought the good stuff when it came to equipment. But you asked the question of, why would we, when we were talking earlier, why would we have a customer?
Yeah. And that was going to be my question. Why should I bring my car to you to get my car serviced over or in a dealership in general compared to just some guy that's down the road?
I think I might know. Can I take a stab at this?
Stab.
Because they know your car better than anybody else. They will be there for you not only before, during, but after the sale. You can hold the people at the Mazda joint or wherever you buy your car when you carry it back to get it serviced. Am I close?
That would be a fringe answer. I think it would be. I'm knocking you down today. I told you we get you good and crapped out by the end of the show. I mean, there's validity in all those things you said, but so let's talk about the car. So understanding that most customers feel that when you take your car to a car dealership, it's going to cost you more money. And you know what the good news is? It does. But it's not because we're shoving $100 bills in our pocket. It's because to get people that are factory trained to know your car, what you're doing costs us money. To hire a great quality master tech is not the same. We're not paying the same hourly rate for that guy that's working at Jiffy Lube or some brake joint or Midas or something.
Right.
We're paying more money. And how do I know? Because I see what those people are getting paid when they come and apply for jobs with us. So to get a factory certified technician in any organization, which are really hard to come by right now, you're going to pay a lot of money for them. So our hourly labor rate is higher. But what that means for you, though, is that we also have technology that the Jiffy Lube or the Midas or whoever doesn't have. And when we do bring your car in, number one, we're immediately checking for any kind of recall. And we're going to do that because we get paid to fix it. It doesn't cost you any money. And the second thing is that we can scan the car. We can reflash it. We can make it run more efficient just through what goes on in those computers that are inside of it. And there's plenty of them, and everybody knows it because what are we waiting on right now?
Computer chips.
So, those you put scan tools on a car if it's got a check engine light, and they can tell you what's wrong with it. But a lot of times they can't fix it. And so the last part of it is that, and I know you can hear advertisements out there on, Toyotas for one. They always say genuine Toyota parts, and we do too. And the reason for that is that they're OEM quality. So they're the right quality that should be on the car to begin with. I can tell you personally that I've purchased brake parts that were aftermarket from a auto parts store for my own vehicle, put them on, and I wasn't very successful with them. They just didn't work or last very long. And the last part of that is that then you're covered by a warranty by the manufacturer. So, you're getting something for your money. I mean, you pay for insurance. You're going to pay a little bit more for insurance. You pay for having something that's going to last. And not only will it last if it fails in that period of time that it is warranted, so you can take it back and get it redone. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. And then more importantly, we want to take care of you as our customer. And the reason for that is a couple-fold. Number one is if you trade your car back into us, we're probably going to give you more money for it. So you're going to get most of your service money back because we can see the complete history on the car. And if I'm purchasing a car and I got a question mark, am I going to pay more for the car? Or am I going to pay less for it? So if I'm paying less for your car, you can service it at Jiffy Lube and you saved your money. But when you come to trade it into me or any other dealer, we can pull it up on a Carfax usually, and we can see, not all dealers participate in Carfax, but most do. And we can pull it up on the Carfax and we can see the whole history of whether the oil was changed. I am a lot more confident, especially I'm going to give you an example. If I'm going to take a Kia Optima in trade, and it's a 4-year-old Kia Optima, I'm looking for two things. I'm looking for, is the dipstick a different color? Is it orange? And if it's orange, that means that it's been looked at by a Kia dealer because they had a recall on the engines. The engine itself wasn't bad, but what it did have, it had some metal flashing inside the oil passages. And if people didn't change the oil, it would start to kind of gunk up. Well, when it did, it would hang up in those passages, and pretty soon it's like an artery in your heart. It would close off the passage, and then you have bearing failure in the bottom of the engine. So what we found, and I ran a Kia store, and what we found is people that religiously changed their oil every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, they didn't have an engine failure. But the people that stretched it out because they were trying to be cheap or whatever it was, they come in and the motor was knocking. Well, Kia stood behind it, and that was all good. But my point is that if there's a history on there that I can look at and I can see, it has more value. So it's been taken care of by a dealer, then I know it's been fully looked at. My brain says I'm going to give you more money. So whatever you're spending there, you think, oh my gosh, I'm paying $40 more for an oil change. Yeah, maybe you are, because it's full synthetic instead of sticking some synthetic blend in there or whatever doesn't really belong in that motor now. Oil changes have gone up because now the manufacturers are going to full synthetic oil. And with that, oil changes length intervals are extended because the viscosity doesn't break down and then the motor doesn't have failure. But there's a lot of stuff to it. So it may be that you're paying more for an oil change, but your distance between them is less. So is longer. So there's a lot of things that we do that a side of the road mechanic will not do to your car.
I am amazed at everything you said because I had no idea that you were that. I knew you were smart, but holy crap, you made some great points.
Well, it's my business.
No, but I mean, it really, all of that made good sense to me.
Well, because it does make
I
sense.
learned something.
The problem is that we have a hard time communicating that to the customer.
Yeah.
And what we really want, we want retention. And remember, I said at the beginning, it's self-serving. I want you back as my customer. I want to sell you a car in 2 years or 3 years because that's when most people trade their car. Or I want to sell your daughter a car. I mean, otherwise we can't maintain a good operating, profitable business. But I want to take care of our customers, and we don't do it right all the time. And the problem we have, we had a review. I'm going to talk about two of them. This is really a good example. And I kind of spanked my service manager the other day in a nice way. I mean, he made an error, and people make errors, and I get that. But we had a customer came in and left a review for us, and he said that we didn't change his cabin filter. Our cabin air filter, I said that backwards, but cabin air filter. We charged him the money and we didn't change it. Well, we actually did. Where the mistake we made was, and we're doing it now, we stick them in a plastic bag and we give them to the customer. Because I don't want anybody saying we did something we didn't do.
Smart.
We do it. And well, it's just common sense. But, there's a lot of things, we're into this now, this dealership 13 months. And there's a lot of things that you don't know that you don't know. And they hit you in the forehead, and then you make a policy change because that what you assume is a good policy is already in place, and it's not. But you can't think of everything. Now, regardless of how smart you think I am, Andy, but you can't think of everything. So, but it turns out though, the guy that complained that said we didn't, we actually have his air filter sitting up as an example of a dirty air filter. I kid you not. It is crazy. But we should have given it to him so he knew what he got. So he says, "Oh yeah, your guys are doing all this stuff." All right. Well, he was wrong. But we did get one the other day, a review, and I don't blame the guy. And it was a big error, and I'm saying it out loud. I'm being honest, and it's nothing. My service manager and I talked about it, and I'm not blaming him because I know he'll listen to this thing and he'll think that I'm throwing him under the bus. But he won't make this mistake again. But a customer said that he brought his car in, and the interval between his oil change was like 15 months. That's way too long because various things. They recommend if you're not going to drive the car very much, you do it over you should change your oil every year just because of condensation and moisture and all kinds of stuff and things that go on inside there. And but he opened the guy's cap on his top of the valve cover, and the inside of the cap was milky. And
it's water in that.
That's what it says. So, Of course, he's assuming there is a bad head gasket. And he tells the guy, he says, your motor's probably shot. Well, the guy goes out of there. He's all mad. And he goes out of there and, because the motor's $5,000. And then he goes to his buddy. And his buddy goes, oh, that's not true. And he starts looking into it. And, they change the oil and everything else. And it's not having a problem. So, in theory, that's and this isn't a mistake that just we make. There are guys at Midas that make these mistakes. There's guys in the best shops on the planet that make mistakes because we're human. Right. But he made an assumption, and he made the assumption. He told me, he says, well, history always told me that when the valve cover was kind of milky, or, that you had water in there and you probably had a bad head gasket. I said, well, you're probably not wrong. But I said, did we do the steps to check it to ensure it was? There's a lot of pressure testing and you can do to make sure that you don't have that issue in the motor. And he said the answer was no. And I said, well, this is what you do in the future. You go to the customer, you say, hey, this is alarming. You wait a long time before changing oil. This is alarming. Do you want to spend the money to have us find out whether or not you have a real problem here? You put it in the customer's choice. The onus is on them instead of on us. And so the guy rightfully filleted us. Now, he called him back and he told him, hey, man, he fell on the sword. He said, I didn't look at it right. I didn't think about it right. And the guy was cool about it. But, we do make mistakes. So am I airing my laundry? Yeah, I am. But the point is, we're not trying to do those kinds of things. Everybody does make errors along the way.
We have a question from Rob in Columbia.
I know him.
Yeah, that guy sucks. But
Did that make sense what I just said?
it
Yes,
did.
every
But
bit of it.
I wanted to ask about the extended service plan when you buy a car. Is that something that's viable and that you should do? Or does that depend on the kind of car you're buying?
I think it depends a lot on your financial situation in particular. But the one thing we don't have is a crystal ball, because I can tell you in my life, I've had quite a bit of money and I've had no money. And I didn't know 2 years previous that I wouldn't have money. So what the rule is that, have you ever had your dishwasher or your washer or your refrigerator go bad when you were overflowing with money?
No,
No.
never.
No, it just doesn't happen. It's kind of like, why does your smoke detector go off at night when you're sleeping and it starts chirping at you? There are these these rules. And an extended warranty is about the same way. So, you can look at it a couple ways. I mean, if you have oodles of money and you're willing to take the risk, you're doing the gamble. Instead, if a motor is $5,000 or a transmission's $5,000, an extended service contract costs you $2,500 or $3,000 that covers every component that's on your car, basically, other than the bumpers. I'd say that's a fairly, and if you're making a payment and it's costing you, I don't know, $40, $45, $50 a month to have that kind of protection, I'd rather pay $50 a month than have to cough up $5,000 2 years from now. It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
So the answer is,
Always
go.
makes sense. Greg Hood, what's good under the hood? Mazda of Columbia, Rob Sanders, Fox Sports Radio. My name is Andy. Please like, subscribe, and share the show. We're on YouTube. We're on all of the podcast places,
all of them,
including the iHeartRadio app for each app store. Thanks for watching and listening to What's Good Under the Hood. I'm going to get a coffee refill, and then we're back for another episode.